Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's editions of Dispatches from Shedquarters. I'm your host, Mike Lutz. No beer today. I'm recording in the morning, and probably the last thing I need to do is start day drinking before an afternoon shift. But I am staying hydrated, so don't worry about that. So, how's everybody doing? Hope you're having a good week, and I'm going to get right into it. My journey through the Harry Potter novels has come to an end. I set the goal to go through all the novels before the end of summer, and I'm kind of ahead of the curve on this one. And I really enjoyed my trip into my very deep dive into the Harry Potter universe. I read all 7 novels back to back to back, and it was something else. I was never really into the Potterverse when it first came out. I did watch a couple of the movies, but I never did read the books. And once I got into the books, the depth of that universe that J.K. Rowling had created, just it blew me away. The level of character development that she made the 3 main characters is stunning. I've never really invested that much time in reading a long series like that before, but this has got me intrigued enough to want to look at some of the bigger series of novels out there. I'm kind of looking for suggestions. Tim Stoffen had given me a couple suggestions. Now that I'm done with the Potter books, one was, what was it called? Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman, but I had already read that one, so he suggested another one I think it's called From a Certain Point of View. It was a series of short stories written in the perspective of background characters from the Star Wars movies, which is very intriguing because I'm a big Star Wars fan. I remember going to watch the very first one with my dad, and I said it was something that's had its hooks in me ever since. I'm a huge fan of the Star Wars universe, and something like just an expanded taste of what is going on in that universe is kind of interesting to me. Now back to the Potter. Those stories are, I know I'm late to the party when it comes to talking about these books, but I'm trying to, I'm at a loss here, but it was such a fantastic series. It's left a big impression on me, to the point where, sometimes my inner monologue is speaking to me in a British accent. It's weird how I've dove headfirst into this universe, and I'm trying to figure out a way to get out of it so I can start on some other books. But I suppose that's the mark of a really good story, or a series of stories, is that you get sucked into that universe and you're looking at the real world through the lens of what you've just read. Like my friend Stephanie Barty said, he goes, after reading that, you look around and you kind of see magic all around you. And I definitely agree with her. Now, she also said, the trick of it is to hang on to that the seeing of the magic for as long as you can before reality just comes back in and crushes that right out of us all over again, as reality is apt to do. Uh, I I want to be able to look and see the things that are just kind of on the peripheral vision. Some of the different weird things that happen in the world. It is it magic? I sure, absolutely. And you said our reality is what it is, and a little freshness would make that so much better. Uh, the I think the character that stuck to me the most would be Albus Dumbledore. Just the way he was trying to guide everybody in this battle with Voldemort. I'm sorry for those who have flinched, but yeah, it's Voldemort. So his generalship is, it has its flaws. He is a flawed character, and as much as we need somebody to show us the way and to be the pinnacle, the best. There's not many people like that out there. The way Rawlings had written these characters, it showed you these flaws, and it showed you the humanness of these characters, good, bad, ugly, otherwise. You get a fully developed human character with these stories. Now, you also get to the point where you get characters that throw their humanity away, like Voldemort, and many of the Death Eaters were the same category. You have to wonder, is the pursuit of power, money, anything worth your humanity? And a lot of people these days got to ask themselves that same question in real life. I don't want to get too into politics of the current day. There's just too much going on that I don't know all the information about, so I'm not going to mention anything like that. It's just, if we could be a little more pleasant to each other, that would make this world a lot better. But there's so much negativity and lack of respect towards the self and each other that we're getting situations where we're constantly at each other's throats, and that's not good. It has to change. I have no answers. I don't know how to fix this situation. I just try to make the things in my life better for myself, for my family, and my friends. I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I've screwed up many times. It's just a matter of trying to make amends, and hopefully things can work out, or if not, it's trying to mitigate damage. That was kind of tangenty, but so back to the Potterverse. The tragedy of a lot of the characters, losing some of the main characters, actually hit me harder than I expected. There was a couple deaths that it just you could see it coming, and there was just no way to avoid it, and it had a deep impact with I read the rest of the stories and how I was feeling about the rest of the characters involved in that death. Like the character of Dobby is such a tragic character. His the plight of the house elves brought, let's see, Hermione trying to bring freedom to the house elves. It is I've got so much kind of going on. I need to focus a little bit here, but when the Dobby character was introduced and how that is his initial situation resolved, and was some brilliant writing, and I grew to really love that character. And I think a lot of people that have read the Potterverse have grown to love that Dobby character. And when Dobby met his end, I was like emotionally broken up about it. I actually welled up reading the passage, reading the chapters where Harry was digging Dobby's grave and giving the funeral to Dobby. It was just like, I am so invested in these characters. I was devastated to see one of them die. That's some great writing. That is some fantastic writing, and you'll have to remember. I said the sound quality and some of the ticks and noises you'll be hearing is because I'm recording in a shed in my backyard. So there's stuff falling out of my tree right now. So this is what is going on. Until I can find something better, this is the best I have. So you're gonna have to, like I said, bear with me through all the warts and noises and bangs and background noises. So, I want to thank everybody for taking the time to listen to the show. And this is my 1 month anniversary doing the show, and it got me thinking about the future of this show, where I want to go with it, and what I can do to make this show better. I know I don't know if you know, but I've been working hard at getting this show out on different platforms, so it's easier for everybody to find this show, to consume it. I've just recently launched a new Twitter account for the show, and if you want to, you can go to Twitter and you can find me at Shed Dispatches, and it'll have links to shows and some ramblings from me and some pictures and different things. So it's growing. I'm trying to find other like I know I added SoundCloud to the mix as well. I'm slowly searching for ways for everybody to consume this, and for me to try and grow my audience. I'm not sure where this is all headed. I just sit down each week and I talk, and I want to start a conversation with everybody that's taking the time to like this show and listen to this show, and I do want to make this show grow. So there's things in the works right now that I can't really talk about because not all the I's have been dotted and T's crossed. But one of the things that I can talk about is I'm going to go to California in February to the Jazomon Pop Culture Expo, hosted by David K. Montoya of the World of Myth fame. That is something I'm really looking forward to, because the idea right now is for Stephanie Barty, myself, and Jason Bayshard, to drive to California to this show. This is going to be a heck of an adventure. I've Google mapped it out, and it says it is going to be like one day and 10 hours, so 35 hours. Like, the whole idea is to drive straight through. So one of us can drive, one of us is going to be co-piloting, and the other is going to be sleeping in the back. So I don't know exactly the logistics of how we're going to do this, but this is one of my crazy ideas. I know, because I talked to Dave about getting us out there, and one of the original ideas was to fly us out of Detroit, but I've never flown before, and I'm kind of nervous about that kind of situation. And Dave goes, "You've never flown?" I said, "No, there's no wings on my back." So I see this as an opportunity for the three of us to go on an adventure and record and do podcasts with each other in the car. It's not something that everybody is going to want to do. And I was actually very surprised when I approached Jason and Steph with this idea of driving there, that they were all for it. And I kudos to them for listening to my crazy ideas, and they're going, "Okay, this sounds like fun." So thank you, Jason and Steph. We'll have to get together and figure out some plans about this as it gets coming along. Something more in the immediate future. I was a pro wrestler for 20 years, and one of the companies that I worked for closed down, and it was kind of sad, because that was basically the end of my career. Now, I'm kind of jumping the gun a little bit here, but there's been some rumors flying around about this one promotion starting back up. If for anything, just a single show. I don't have very many details, and I can't really go too deep into talking about what's going on, but there is a definite maybe as to something happening. I'm kind of mixed about this. I do want to do one more show. I don't know if I'm physically ready to do something like that. I do have to start training again for it sometime soon. There's a bunch of things that have to happen before I think I'd be ready to get back into the ring. And I'm hesitating, but I know I want to do it because this was one of my passions. Pro wrestling. My dad introduced me to pro wrestling when I was a kid. My dad loves pro wrestling, and he would take me and my brother to Kinsman Auditorium here in Chatham to go see the original Sheik from Detroit would run shows here, and that's where my love for performing, I guess, erupted, because as I guess you could say cheesy as early 70s wrestling was, it imprinted on my little brain that looks like fun, and they said it was it's physical art. It's a live action stunt show, a lot of people, well, it's fake. The fake word is kind of hard for me to take. The ending, I'm not giving anything away here. A lot of the endings are predetermined, but a lot of the stuff you cannot fake. Like, you can't fake gravity. When somebody picks you 6 feet up into the air and bodily throws you back down to the ground, it hurts. And that's as real as it's going to get. Now, I think a lot of people, well, it's fake. It's not real. So's an Avenger movie. This is entertainment. I know a lot of guys will be, oh, you're kind of selling out to the sports entertainment aspect of this. To us, to me in particular, the wrestling as we knew it died a long time ago. Now, is that good? It's not good or bad. It's just evolution. It's just the way the product has evolved. And now, as I said, I was having a conversation with Sean Brown, my old tag team partner. We were talking about there's going to be a catch wrestling promotion. And Catch as Catch Can Wrestling is a legitimate submission wrestling art that was developed roughly around the same time as professional wrestling. A lot of the old school originators of carnival wrestling had to be able to legitimately fight, because they would go to towns with a carnival and they would have open challenges to anybody in the crowd that would want to wrestle these people. Now, the carnival wrestlers had to be able to beat everybody without knowing who these guys were. So that's where Catch as Catch Can came from. And it's a brutal submission art, and a lot of the moves look a lot like professional wrestling moves that you see now. Just the moves that you see now are probably done at maybe 25% power. And the whole idea now is, with the wrestling companies, you don't want to cripple your opponent because you got to work with him for the rest of your careers. So when it come to the carnival wrestling, guys were getting crippled because the carnival wrestlers that's how they made their money. That's how they made their living. So there is legitimate moves in wrestling that can devastate a person. But a lot of it now is because of the evolution of the way things are. That is kind of frowned upon, and it's been moved away from. Talking about, again, the evolution of pro wrestling to sports entertainment, the information age that we live in now has really changed things. Whereas way back in the day, you only had a certain amount of channels, and only the people that could afford to put on big companies dominated TV, like WCW and WWF and WWE. But the way things have opened up now, things have been democratized a lot between YouTube and Twitch and Twitter and any social media platform. A lot of niche wrestling is now getting a spotlight shone on them because guys are making companies and they are taking the time to shine the light on their own product. They don't have to rely on a big billion-dollar company to start a promotion. Now, purists and some of the older guys think that is watering down pro wrestling, because there's far too many. I can't say there's far too many people in it, because who am I to deny somebody their passion? There's just an overabundance, and there's a lot of product trying to aim for fewer and fewer people's money. Then that's the whole idea of entertainment, is to try to get somebody to pay for your product. I know, like I said, it's weird, but we all pay to go see movies. We all pay to watch cable TV. It's just the nature of the beast, and I'm not exposing anything here that hasn't already been figured out. But when you put so much product out there, there's only so few dollars left anymore for people to consume. I don't know how big of this bubble. There were a lot of people that are in wrestling right now are enjoying a huge boom of popularity right now, and I don't know when the bubble's going to break. And like I said, as with everything, there is an end to it. I don't know when that is going to be, but I want to see the guys that are in wrestling right now, that are hustling and wanting to make it work. I want to see them all do well. I just hope they can make their money and get out before the bottom falls out. So, good luck, fellas, and I hope to see you down the road. One of the things that I kind of touching back onto Star Wars, and Star Wars and gaming kind of go hand in hand all of a sudden in my house, because my youngest son Parker has discovered Star Wars Armada. This is a tabletop miniature war game, and basically you take control of giant spaceships and you move them around on a map, and you try to eliminate the other player. This game has the prospects of being a very bad something very, very expensive, because the ships are gorgeous. Going back to when I first saw Star Wars, the opening scene where the blockade runner flies across the top of the screen, and then the Imperial Star Destroyer slow crawls across the top of the screen, just blew my mind. Now, when Parker bought the starter kit for Armada, it comes with a Star Destroyer, and it was just like, I'm holding a piece of my childhood, and it's just, it tickled me to no end that I got to play with a Star Destroyer. Now, looking at the catalog, there's more Star Destroyers. They actually, Fantasy Flight Games, that has developed the Star Wars Armada game, just released a model of a Super Star Destroyer. This thing is 2 feet long, and it costs $250. I want one so bad, but I know it's just unfeasible it's just like, I would have to try to start like a Kickstarter or something to fuel this addiction, this brand new addiction to this game that I'm really starting to enjoy. And I said, Parker loves games. I love playing games as well. So when he discovers a new game, we'll play against each other, and it's just so much fun. And gives us some time to. It's father-son bonding. It's great fun. So I get to tell stories about Star Wars that he probably didn't know, and he starts to get deeper into what I grew up with. I grew up with the basic Dungeons and Dragons kit, the red box. And I've loved gaming since the very first time I tried to play Dungeons and Dragons. I will never forget, my very first Dungeons and Dragons adventure was a build your own adventure with an invisible ink pen. So it was a choose your own adventure path like book, and it was just one of those things that like opened up my imagination to a world that I didn't know existed, and I just like it has fueled my imagination ever since. I can't even remember. I think it was like 10 or 11 when I first started with Dungeons and Dragons, and I've played games ever since. I still play games now. I just turned 48, and being able to exercise my imagination with these games is something I wanted to pass down to my kids and share these experiences and get them to think and create and imagine different worlds. And I'm glad they're taking after my love of role playing games. I know there's Parker's into Dungeons and Dragons now. There's a small group that it's me and Jason Bayshard and Brent Moore and Parker get together whenever we can and try and do some gaming, and it's just I like the idea of being able to create a universe and tell a story to my friends and try to give them a little dose of adventure and help them think and have them try to outsmart me and me try to outsmart them. I love it. Yeah, I'll probably have to go a little more in depth sometime later about my gaming past and maybe future, see like this, because it probably would bear to go a more deep dive into what makes me tick about creativity and imagination and stuff like that. So I think I'm going to save that for some time down the road. That being said, I think I'm going to wrap this week's up. Thank you for listening. Again, you can find Dispatches from Shedquarters on Facebook, Twitter. You can find it at Shed Dispatches. The podcast can be found iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, basically anywhere that you can find podcasts, you can find Dispatches from Shedquarters. If you want to email me, my email is mike.lutz52@gmail.com. Comments, suggestions, feedback, criticism, I'll take it all. So this has been Mike Lutz, and you've been listening to Dispatches from Shedquarters.